Hello, welcome to the
Real Bit Wars.
I'm Chris, and once again I've decided to part ways with some of my collectibles. I hope everyone is enjoying this new series, but long story short, I'm selling some things in hopes that I can acquire some of the more expensive games and maybe complete my Nintendo and Super Nintendo sets. So we'll get right into it. The first thing I sold was a record. I had this album by this group called The Coup. Their album was Pick a Bigger Weapon. I found this in a clearance section like 15 years ago. I spent like $3 on it. And I sold this on eBay for $150. So turns out it was worth a decent chunk of money. And given the fact that it's not necessarily a group that I'm that into, I just sort of bought it because it was cheap. Never felt inclined to pick up any more of their albums beyond that. Kind of thought about maybe using some of that money to get the CD because I knew that would be a lot cheaper. Decided no, I'm content with just sending this on its way. And especially for that kind of money. That was well worth it to me. So can't say I really even missed that one. It wasn't listening to it very much, so it's a good start, but we're dealing with some big money for some of these games, so I had to sell something else. And what you might see as like a reoccurring theme in this series is boxes and manuals. I collect loose cartridges for a lot of the Nintendo stuff, but I do have some boxes and manuals sitting around for the NES, the Super Nintendo, and the 64. And one in particular I had that was worth a good amount of money was Final Fight 3. I sold that one and got $120 for it. So not quite as easy to get rid of, even though I don't collect those. I've always been very fond of the Final Fight franchise. It brings me back to, when I was younger, I saved up my allowance money to pick up the Super Nintendo port, and I still have that very cartridge in my collection to this day. Kills me because in more recent years, I think retro gamers have been dumping on these a lot. Like Final Fight on the Nintendo consoles just don't get the respect they deserve. But since I had Final Fight on the brain, I began kind of thinking, well, there's a couple of games in that series that I don't have that I would like to get. But sadly, I didn't quite have enough money for that. But lucky for me, I watched one on eBay, and the seller shot me an offer for $52 off. Now we're closer. I almost had enough to buy it. And then it dawned on me I have some more junk sitting around. So I actually on Marketplace sold these knockoff Matchbox cars I had. Got a few dollars for those. Lo and behold, I now had enough money to buy.
Oh my god!
A copy of Mighty Final Fight.
Yeah!
Yeah. Oh boy. So being an advocate for this franchise, especially on the Nintendo consoles, this has always felt like a giant void in my collection to not have this. I've always wanted this so much. I narrowly missed out on one ages ago at a convention. Didn't quite have enough money left with me. So I passed up on it and it just shot up in price after that. And I've always kicked myself for not making that one happen. But now here we are. So to be such a big fan of these games and knowing that these Nintendo ports just don't get the respect they deserve. I get it. Super Nintendo Final Fight is one player. It pales in comparison to the arcade game, but most console ports do. And I know there's the Sega CD version, which I enjoy, and it's good, but I might get backlash for saying this. I think that one's too easy. This Super Nintendo one is not easy. And I have cherished that, and it's been in my collection as long as I've had a collection. And I've got to say, this Nintendo one is kind of an unsung beat-em-up hero in the NES catalog. It might even be the best beat-em-up. That's a bold statement to make, I understand, but as I've been playing this more and more, yeah, this is up there with the best of them. I really love this game. So, not only that, this is the milestone. I have 40 games remaining for the NES. It's insane how far I've come in this journey, and I know those 40 games remaining aren't going to come easy, but I'm on this mission to make this stuff happen. So, I guess that does it for today. Another really great game added to the collection. And before we part ways, let's pay a little tribute to Final Fight on the Nintendo consoles, man, because it deserves it. Thanks for watching.